Stop scrolling for 1 second and answer this honestly. Has your mind ever gone completely blank in the middle of an English conversation? Not slow, not a little stuck, completely empty, like someone unplugged your brain and walked away. That's exactly what we're fixing today. Welcome back to the show. I'm so glad you're here. If you've ever been mid-conversation, someone asks you something simple and your brain just quietly leaves the room without even saying goodbye, this episode is for you. By the time we're done, you're going to have 6 tools you can use in real time, in real conversations, even when your mind feels like a blank notebook. Let's get into it. First, let me ask you something. Have you ever smiled and nodded in a conversation just because you had absolutely no idea what to say? The smile, the slow nod, the little you throw in to buy yourself time. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And honestly, I've done it more times than I can count. Here's the thing nobody really tells you. This happens to everyone, even people speaking their first language. People pause, people stumble, people need a second to think. So if this happens to you while speaking English, you are not behind. You are simply human. Today isn't about sounding flawless. It's about knowing exactly what to do the moment your mind goes quiet. Quiet, or maybe just on a coffee break. Who really knows? If this episode helps you even a little, give it a like, follow the show, and send it to a friend who also says, like it's basically their full-time job. Honestly, might be the most international word that exists. So let's talk about what's actually happening in that blank moment. Picture this. Someone asks you a question, maybe small talk, maybe something a little deeper, and right when you open your mouth to answer, nothing comes out. Your brain hands you a blank page instead of a sentence. Here's the part that surprises most learners. You do not need a long, perfect, beautifully structured sentence in that moment. Most of us don't even have one of those lying around when we need it. What you actually need is something much smaller. A simple bridge. One small phrase that lets you keep going instead of stopping completely. Think about it like crossing a stream. You don't need to leap across in one giant jump. You just need a few small stones to step on, one at a time. One stone could be a quick reaction, like really, or no way. Another stone could be a simple follow-up question, like how was that? And another could just be honest, plain language, like I'm not totally sure how to explain this, but... So the goal was never to sound impressive every single second. The real goal is just to keep the conversation moving forward. That already feels a lot less stressful, right? It should, because a lot of learners believe that if they can't say something perfectly, they shouldn't say anything at all. But silence isn't actually your only option. You can use simple language. You can lean on support phrases. You can ask questions, buy yourself a little time, and stay fully in the conversation. Staying in the conversation, that's the real win here. Let me tell you something that happened to me. I was at a small gathering and someone turned to me and asked, "So, what kind of music are you into?" Innocent question, right? Apparently not, because for a solid 2 seconds, I forgot every single music-related word I had ever learned in my entire life. I wanted to give a thoughtful answer, but my mind just went completely silent. So instead of freezing up entirely, I said, "Oh, good question. Let me think for a second." Then I followed it with, "I like calm music, and sometimes pop, depends on my mood." Not a masterpiece of an answer by any means, but it was real, and it kept things moving. That's such a perfect example of why short, honest answers are usually more than enough. Another time, I was waiting in a coffee shop, and a stranger nearby said, "Busy day, huh?" Classic small talk opener. But for some reason, my brain treated it like a final exam question. I started overthinking a completely simple comment. That happens way more than people admit. Eventually I just said, "Yeah, a little busy, but not too bad. How about you?" And that was it. He answered, we kept chatting, and nobody expected a speech from me. Short, honest phrases like, "Let me think," or "I'm not totally sure, but," save you every single time your mind goes blank. All right, let's actually build this skill together. 5 practical tools you can use the next time your brain decides to go quiet. 5 tools for that exact "my mind is completely empty" emergency. Tool number 1. A time-buying phrase. This gives you a few extra seconds to gather your thoughts. You can say things like, "let me think," or "that's a good question," or "how can I put this?" These aren't just learner phrases either. Native speakers use them constantly, all the time, without even noticing. For example, if someone asks you, "what do you usually do on weekends?" you could say, "let me think. I usually rest, see friends, and maybe do a little shopping." So much better than freezing up and just blinking at them. Tool number 2. Start with a small reaction before anything else. This one is incredibly useful because if you don't have a big idea ready, you can still respond with something small and completely natural. Things like, "really?" "Oh, wow. That's interesting," or "no way." Reactions work like little doors. They open up the conversation without requiring much effort from you at all. For instance, if someone tells you, "I'm moving to a new apartment soon," you could respond, "oh wow, that's exciting. Is it far from here?" Reaction first, question second, smooth and effortless every time. Tool number 3. Ask the other person a simple question. This one is genuinely one of my favorites because once you ask, the other person starts talking and that takes the pressure off you completely. A conversation was never meant to be a one-person speech anyway. A simple question keeps the connection alive, and it basically lets you pass the ball right back to them. You can use things like, "how about you?" "What about you?" "How was that?" Or "when did that happen?" For example, if someone says, "I just started a new job last week," you could respond, "that's great. How's it going so far?" Easy, friendly, and totally natural. Plus, most people genuinely enjoy talking about their own lives. Tool number 4. Use simple, honest language instead of chasing a perfect sentence. This one matters so much because a lot of learners stay silent purely because they're chasing perfection. But in a real conversation, a simple, honest sentence beats silence every single time. If you forget a specific word, just describe what you mean instead. Forgot the word headache? Just say, "my head hurts." Communication saved. No need for the exact textbook word. Or if you're not confident explaining an opinion, you can simply say, "I'm not sure, but I think it's a good idea." That sentence alone sounds calm, confident, and completely natural. Here's another example. Someone asks you, "why did you like that movie?" You don't need a full film review. You can just say, "I liked it because it was funny and easy to watch." Short, clear, job done. Tool number 5. Use a repeatable speaking pattern, almost like a sentence frame you can rely on every time. I love this one because a pattern is like a safe, familiar road. You already know the shape of the sentence, so speaking becomes so much easier. A few useful patterns to keep in your back pocket, I think, because in my case, it depends, but usually, and I'm not sure, but maybe. These are great because you're not starting completely from zero every single time. For example, if someone asks, "do you enjoy studying in the morning?" you could say, "it depends, but usually yes, because my mind feels fresh." Meanwhile, my own mind needs about 3 business hours just to wake up properly. Another quick example. In my case, I prefer studying at night because it's quiet. These patterns give you structure exactly when you need it most. And now let's add one more bonus tool because 6 is even better than 5. Tool number 6. Repeat and build. What does that actually mean? It means you take a small piece of what the other person just said, repeat it back, and then add one small new thing. This is especially useful when you need a second to think. For example, if someone says, "I went hiking on Sunday," you can respond with, "you went hiking? Nice. Where did you go?" That sounds completely natural, not robotic at all. Or if someone says, "I'm trying to cook more at home," you could say, "cook more at home? That's a great goal. What do you usually make?" Repeat and build, that's such a smart little trick because you're not creating an entirely new sentence from nothing. You're using their own words to help carry you forward, and that takes so much pressure off. So let's bring the full toolkit together one more time. Buy time, react, ask a question, use simple honest truth, lean on a speaking pattern, and repeat and build. That's a seriously strong survival kit for any conversation. And honestly, it's more than survival. It's real communication. Okay, time for a quick phrase tour, a fast walk through some useful expressions from today. Phrase 1, let me think. Use this when you need a short moment before answering. Example, let me think. I usually eat breakfast at home. Or, let me think. I think my favorite season is spring. Phrase 2, that's a good question. A friendly way to buy a little time or to genuinely show interest. Example, that's a good question. I don't go out much on weekdays. Or, that's a good question. Maybe I want to travel more this year. Phrase 3, how about you? Incredibly useful for turning a question right back around. Example, I like tea in the morning. How about you? Or, I'm a little tired today. How about you? Phrase 4, it depends. Use this when your answer changes depending on the situation. Example, do you like working from home? It depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Or, what do you usually do on weekends? It depends. Sometimes I just stay home. Phrase 5, I'm not sure, but... Great for moments when you don't have a confident answer yet. Example, I'm not sure, but I think it starts at 6. Or, I'm not sure, but maybe we can go tomorrow. Phrase 6, that sounds a simple, natural reaction phrase. Example, I started dance classes. That sounds fun. Or, I have a meeting after work. That sounds busy. These phrases are small, but they genuinely make conversations so much easier. Small phrases, big impact. Now let's actually put this into practice with a few model answers, so you can hear exactly how this sounds in real life. Model answer 1. Someone asks, what do you do after work? You could respond, let me think. Usually, I go home, eat dinner, and watch something for a while. How about you? Simple, natural, and friendly all at once. Model answer 2. Someone says, I'm going to visit my cousin this weekend. You could say, oh nice, that sounds fun. Is your cousin living nearby? Reaction first, question second, exactly the pattern we just practiced together. Model answer 3. Someone asks, do you like cooking? You could answer, it depends. I like cooking when I have time, but on busy days, I just want something easy, clear, honest, and very real. Let's run through one tiny mini conversation just to put everything together in one place. Imagine someone asks you, how was your weekend? And you answer, pretty good. I stayed home most of the time. They follow up with, oh really? What did you do? And you say, not much honestly. I watched a movie and cleaned my room. How about you? Nothing fancy there at all, just real, natural conversation, and that's genuinely enough. So let's bring everything together one final time. When you don't know what to say, reach for a time-buying phrase first. Then try starting with a simple reaction, follow that up with an easy question. Lean on simple, honest language instead of chasing perfection. Use a speaking pattern you already know by heart. And repeat and build, using the other person's own words. If you remember even 2 or 3 of these tools, your conversations are going to feel so much easier almost immediately. You don't need to be fast, and you definitely don't need to be perfect. You just need a few small tools and a little bit of courage. That's genuinely all it takes. That wraps up today's episode. I really hope this helped you feel calmer the next time you're speaking English. If you want to practice, drop one sentence in the comments using a phrase from today. Something like, let me think, I usually study English at night. Or, it depends, but I like speaking English with friends. Keep it simple. Simple really is good. And remember, when your mind goes blank, that doesn't mean the conversation is over. It just means you need one small bridge to your next sentence. Keep speaking, keep practicing, and be kind to yourself through the process. Your English doesn't need to be perfect to be real. Thanks so much for listening today. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye everyone and keep going. You're doing great.